Hello! Here we have something rather special. Now I may well apologise beforehand for blathering on a bit too much about this board, but for my riding style I've found a new love, and this is it, the new Absinthe. Now the Absinthe replaces the Bronc series. Why? Well, the Bronc was based on a hybrid core, half Pavlovnia, half balsa. But this year there were some issues. It's been the wettest season in China, and that caused the balsa to grow too fast. It's now so light and inconsistent in quality that it's not good enough for building boards. But the same conditions that caused this also decreased the density of some of the Pavlovnia stock. So now there is a new Pavlovnia light grade of wood, and that is what's filled the bill. So the Bronc became the Absinthe with the change in core material. The Absinthe and the Bronc before are the only boards in the range to have a full carbon wrap. It's got a different core to all the other boards, and you'll notice that when you ride it as well. The hull is laminated with a 45-degree biax, and the deck is laminated with spread toe carbon. Now this is really quite clever. For one, biax has really good flex as the fibres are not in line with the direction of flex, so the compressive flex is very impressive. Yet the use of carbon springs that flex back much faster, so you get a very soft, plush but dynamic feel. Secondly, the spread toe on the deck, so far as carbon goes, this stuff is insanely stiff. So having this on the deck really stops the rocker from inverting. So like a sports car, you can tune the flex to where you want it to. You can maximize it where you do and minimize it where you don't. And also remember that the carbon with the core returns the flex to baseline much faster, making it feel flush and powerful. And it's also light, really light. Compared to the old Bronc, this version has a much higher tail lift around the new tip channels, and you can feel it riding. It's got a slightly higher power threshold than the board it replaces, but it's not so effective upwind either as the old one was. But this is a minor thing when you take into consideration what the new board does give in addition. And this, to be honest, is where I start to get a bit gushy. Okay, to put this in context, the Monk is much more tactile and more capable at medium to low power levels. But if you like to ride with a bit of juice, above and beyond what the Monk can do, this is where things start to get really interesting. From what I've seen this week, when the wind picks up, there's been no other deck in the entire range that comes as close to this as being so engaging and so complete. It takes big slices of what my other favourite boards do in the range, but it brings them together in one beautifully rounded package. In addition to this, it has the most progressive and ultimately aggressive carving nature by far. Rolling the rail in at full speed is something really magical. As a directional rider, this is something that really resonates with me. Carving is one of the most enjoyable aspects of kiting, and twins are generally pretty rubbish at it, aside this one. It's got a huge top end, close in fact to the ADHD, but way better and more capable at the lower power levels too. It's got feedback and tactility like the Monk, and granted it may take a little more power to get you going, but it doesn't get out of hand when you turn up the juice, so it's got a really big overall range. It's got the even front to back foot pressure of the ADHD, so you can ride it effortlessly for long periods of time without burning out your back leg. You can ride it half on the rail to recharge, and then you can crank it into full power. Again, it's very compliant in style and an easy board to ride. The core channeling and tip channels and the outline make it effortless when you want to keep the heel-side rail buried for extended periods of time. Like I said earlier, the carving is sublime. Not only is the rail bite progressive, it has exceptional drive with very low decay of speed. Slashing around on it is addictive, and this is unique in the range. No other board can do this. The carve brings great carve pop for big air. Mark says that these tip channels help here. You can really screw an extra little bit of pop from the board at the last minute, consistently, even in really bad conditions, and I fully agree. A word on sizing. Now, I'm 6 foot and 82 kilos, and as a rule I find boards over 42 wide, they start to become a bit of a handful at full chat. They have a bit too much leverage over my ankles and it becomes a bit of a fight, but not so on the 43 wide Absinthe. The thing has grip above and beyond, and it really surprised me for what a 43 wide board will do, and there's no way I'm going smaller. I'm aware that I'm going a bit over the top here, and in lighter winds, yeah, you can argue that the more efficient Villion or the more responsive Monk are better, but as soon as you get enough juice, Ronson territory and above, this thing starts to come alive. Over this week, I've had some absolutely magic sessions. It's insanely fun, it's involving, it's easy, it's adrenaline filled, it's a riot of a board without rough edges. The 43 wide test board that I have is not leaving my side for the rest of the season. Seriously, if you have a riding style that sounds like this would fit, please try and get a shot on one of these. You'll not regret it. Or you might, depending on whether you can justify buying a new board. And thus ends my love letter. Thank you for sticking with it, but seriously, try one of these. I have a suspicion they may perhaps make your life just a little bit more fun than it is.